Hello, hello, and welcome to Sovereignty Rising. I'm your contrarian soul guide, Dawn, and today we're talking about something that almost every one of my clients admits to me eventually, usually with a whisper. It's like a dirty secret, and it's, I'm exhausted. I've done all the things, and I'm still running on empty. Sound familiar? Maybe you meditate, you journal. Maybe you eat clean. Maybe you even green juice every morning. You read the books, listen to the podcasts, do the yoga, maybe even take a sabbatical. And still you're overwhelmed, anxious, burned out. And the worst part, you start thinking it's your fault. If I were more spiritual, I'd be calmer. If I were more disciplined, I wouldn't be tired. If I really had it together, I'd feel aligned by now. But let me drop this truth bomb right here. You're not burned out because you didn't try hard enough. You're burned out because you've been trying to control what was never meant to be controlled. Today, we're going to break the illusion of control, return to presence, and learn to live by the cycles that already exist within you instead of fighting them. So stay with me. Welcome to Sovereignty Rising. Ditch the fear, embrace your flame. I'm Dawn Elgin, contrarian soul guide, visionary mystic, and creatrix of practical spiritualism. And this is the space where we strip away the fear, burn the old stories down, and reclaim the power that was never truly lost, just buried. Here, we dive into raw, unfiltered conversations on emotional healing, spiritual awakening, and the art of unlearning everything that keeps you stuck, small, and disconnected from your truth. Together, we rise like phoenixes. Flame first, fear last. Let's rise together. Let's chat about the anatomy of overwhelm. Here's the truth. Overwhelm isn't just about having too much to do. Overwhelm happens when you're living out of alignment with your energy. Think about it. Your nervous system is designed for bursts of action and then periods of rest. That's just a natural cycle. But society has trained us to live in permanent summer, grow, push, expand, hustle, achieve. Endless daylight, no winter. And then we wonder why we're tired. And science backs this up. Chronic stress floods the body with cortisol. Over time, cortisol dysregulation leads to brain fog, anxiety, sleep disruption, and burnout. The World Health Organization even classified burnout as a workplace syndrome caused by chronic, unmanaged stress. Overwhelm is not proof that you're weak. It's proof that you're out of rhythm. Let's talk about the illusion of control. Control is seductive. It makes you believe that if you just plan harder, organize better, hustle longer, you'll finally feel safe. This is not true. So why do we try to control things if it's not actually going to give us what we desire? We have to remember that control is often a trauma response. We don't try to control things because it all feels good. When you're little, you play, you enjoy life, you're with your friends, everything's great. And the only time that we try to control is when we are getting into a place of an unknown or something we don't like. As we get older, we learn to try and control things more, usually because we've been taught. We've been taught that if we can keep everybody happy, then we'll feel safe, we'll feel loved, we'll feel like we belong. It's always because we are trying to either get one of what I call the big four, which is safety, security, belonging, or love, or we're trying to hold on to them. And so if we are trying to hold on to one of these four things or gain one of these four things, then control will seem like a way to either get them or keep them. And I don't say this to you lightly. I've been an absolute triple A type personality control freak. And it took me a long, long time to understand that this was a trauma response. I had no idea why I was doing this. And When I look back, it makes absolute sense. I don't understand how I couldn't have seen it before, but that's the way of wisdom and time moving on. Here's the deal. When we feel like we lack control, the world around us feels unsafe. If we have a great desire for safety and security, then we're going to try and control things to get what we need. And this makes total sense. When you think of how the psyche works, we are always putting everything against previous experiences. This is what it means to live in the past. This is the creation of time. If I'm going into a new situation, then I have an unknown, and that's going to make me feel unsafe. So, for many of us, we'll go into that trying to control things, even if that control is ourselves, holding ourselves back, being distant, watching. These are all ways for us to try and control a situation, control a narrative. Now, if we have been through something similar, because it'll never be exactly the same. So, if we've been through something similar before, then we might be trying to control to get a different outcome or to get the outcome that we desire. So it's not like we're trying to control things to create chaos. We're actually trying to create this sense of safety and security, especially in control, along with belonging and love. When we understand this, and we can be really gentle with ourselves and start getting curious. What is it that I'm trying to either get or keep? And what is it about this situation that I am trying to control? And how can I be a little bit more present with this? Because the truth is, control is actually a cage. The more you grip, the more anxious you feel. Because control demands certainty, and life never offers certainty. That gap between your demand for control and life's refusal to comply is where overwhelm lives. Your contrarian truth, you don't have a burnout problem, you have a control problem. Presence is power. Here's the shift. The antidote to overwhelm isn't more control, it's presence. Presence says, I don't have to fix the whole day right now. I just have to breathe into this moment. Presence interrupts the story spiral. Presence calms the nervous system. Presence gives you power because it's the only place you can actually act from. One study on mindfulness and stress reduction showed that even 10 minutes of present moment awareness lowered cortisol levels and increased feelings of well-being. Not because life magically changed, but because awareness shifted the inner field. Now, if you're new with me and you're unsure of this term, inner field, I'd like to chat about that. See, for the last, well over a decade now, I have been studying both science and the mystical to try and understand why we are the way we are, what causes us to suffer, whether that's physical, mental, or emotional, and how do we correct it. And this brought me to this work that I refer to as Field and Form. And it is a compilation of really my life's work, but especially the studies that I have done for this last 10, 12 years. And so over the last while, it has come together. I've taught on the 7 principles of co-creation in the past. And now, today, I will tell you that there's actually 12. And these 12 principles or 12 laws of co-creation are these laws that move through all of science, and they are seen all through mystic. And that mystical can be every single lineage of religion, as well as spiritual, as well as the mystical. And the field is what we would consider space or energy. You can think of field as the pure potential and form as potential being experienced. And today, I want to introduce to you these 12 laws because they are magnificent and they are powerful. And they are the 12 laws that I use to help me let go, to help me heal, to help me release. They're the 12 laws that I use every day in my life when I'm struggling, especially, and I need to take a look at things and figure out what is going on. And I use this when I am struggling in relationships, when I've got something coming up at work. I live and breathe these 12 laws all the time. They're the foundation of everything I do personally as well as professionally. And today I'm super excited to share them with you. So let me lift the veil on field and form. So these 12 laws of co-creation, the first one is conscious creation is constant. And these first 7, if you want to go into a deep dive on these, the first 7, I have done some episodes on these just over the last couple of months. And so the first one is what I referred to as principle 1 before. We're going to call it the laws. So creation is not something you do. It is the very fabric of who you are. Every thought, emotion, word, and action is a brushstroke on the canvas of reality. Spiritually, this law echoes the word in scriptures. That is, the spoken becomes flesh. Scientifically, it is the quantum observation collapsing possibility into form. And so every single thing that we do is a constant state of creation. It's not like you're not creating when you don't want to be. We are always in a state of it. And it is every thought, every word, every action. We ourselves are consciousness, and then we are in a constant state of creation. That's our purpose in this world. We talk a lot about purpose. And the very first purpose, our intrinsic purpose, is that we answer the question, who am I? And it is the understanding of the I am that is our purpose, because it brings us back into unity and back into wholeness. Everything else is an expression of that. Law 2 is as within, so without. And this is about magnetic resonance. Many of you maybe have heard of that law of attraction or magnetic attraction. And this is the place where that really comes into play. But what's important is the understanding that, and here's the inner field, your inner field is not private, it's magnetic. Whatever you hold inside becomes the frequency you send out. And that frequency draws people, events, and opportunities that resonate with it. This isn't punishment, it's feedback. Spiritually, this is the mirror principle. Life reflects your inner state. Science calls it resonance. Energy fields align, a coherence attracts coherence. When you're carrying unspoken or unresolved pain, you keep meeting it in the world. When you shift into compassion, you notice how quickly the external adjusts. And so often when we are wanting to attract something in, and we've got vision boards, or we're doing our intentions, we're doing some work, and we have these thoughts, we're putting it out on the field of electrical energy, of thought, of mind. But it's, what are we calling into us magnetically? What is the resonance? And so if I have unworthiness within me, then calling in abundance is going to be difficult, because I'm going to have a dichotomy. I'm going to have these two opposing energies fighting each other. And you can imagine these two energies pushing against each other and creating this feeling that we would probably call anxiety or anxiousness or discomfort or dissonance. And that's what causes this, is this incoherent energy. Now, the third law is presence equals power. And this one I've explained as time, space, and speed. So power only exists here and now. And we're talking about it today. And the past has already collapsed into memory. The future is still vapor. Only this moment holds life force. Spiritually, presence is God's address. Mystics across traditions insist the now is the doorway. Scientifically, the body proves this. Breath, heartbeat, nervous system regulation all exist only in the present. When your mind drags you back into regret or forward into fear, you split your energy and weaken your signal. The weight of the baggage you carry, WEIGHT, directly impacts the weight, WAIT, for change. hence time, space, and speed. True speed is presence. When you're here, life accelerates because energy isn't leaking into elsewhere. This law is an invitation to stop outsourcing your power to someday and to reclaim it now. Law 4 is choice is participation. Every choice is a prayer. And that's I really want that to sink in. Every choice is a prayer. You're putting it out there, and you are going to be met where you're at. Whether you decide to respond with love or react with fear, you are casting a vote into the field. Think of the field is all of the space around you. And this space, even if it's empty, it's still filled with energy. It's filled with information. If you think of the quantum field is to the universe, to source, to God, what our mind is to us. And it is the energy of our mind, which is both emotions and thoughts, and it is interacting with the mind of the universe. And not only that, but the energy of my mind is interacting with the energy of the universe as well as your mind. And all of these energies are co-creating together to create the life that we experience. Now, spiritually, this is free will in action. Fate becomes destiny when you choose consciously. Neuroscience shows us brain defaults to old wiring until you interrupt it with awareness. Most people live in reaction, thinking they're at the mercy of circumstances. But reaction is just unconscious choice. Every yes, every no, every thought indulged is participation in creation. So just because you don't act on it doesn't mean it doesn't matter. It affects your heart, it affects your nervous system, it affects your breath. So if it's affecting you physically, it's affecting you environmentally. The paradox is that not choosing is still a choice. It is a vote for drift. This law is a call to step out of passive living and into sovereign authorship. Now, law 5 is alignment over control. You're going to see a real pattern here of what happens. And if you think of these 12 laws, if we were to follow them and work with them, we would end our own suffering. So alignment over control. Surrender is the strategy. Now, if you've heard some of my story, I have for over 7 years now been on a surrender experiment that began after I read the book, The Surrender Experiment by Michael Singer. So, Law 5, control is the great illusion. The more you grip, the more life slips through your fingers. Spiritually, every tradition teaches surrender. Taoism calls it wu wei, and I might have pronounced that wrong. Christianity calls it thy will be done. Science affirms that systems work best when there is adaptability, not rigidity. Judgment, expectations, and demands to know why narrow the field and block guidance. Curiosity, detachment, and trust expand it. Alignment isn't passive. It's the fierce clarity about who you are and what matters most, while surrendering the how and the when. This law dismantles hustle and control and replaces them with trust and presence. When you stop trying to bully life into submission, you discover it was always conspiring to meet you. This law played huge for me in my life. And I remember the moment that I heard it the first time. I was listening to a book by Carolyn Mace. It was actually a recording of a workshop called Advanced Energy Anatomy. And so this one, she explains as have no expectations, release all judgments, and let go of the need to know why things happen as they do. And this is one that played heavily in keeping me stuck in old patterns and traumas and dramas with my mom. And it was the one that also helped me overcome those and finally get to a place of peace and clarity. Now, law 6 is radical self-responsibility, or the law of accountability. And this is radical self-responsibility equals sovereignty. Sovereignty begins where blame ends. Spiritually, you are an individual spark of the divine. No one else can create for you. Science confirms this in systems theory. Accountability is what stabilizes complex networks. Most people live in projection, blaming parents, partners, governments, even God. But the moment you reclaim authorship, you move from pawn to player. Radical self responsibility doesn't mean isolation. It means you stop outsourcing your power and start owning choice. Boundaries become sacred when they are backed by consequences. Sovereignty is not selfish. It is the only way you can serve others without resentment. This law says stop waiting to be rescued, stand up, own it, and create. Now, Law 7, cycles, spirals, and seasons. Life is not linear. It is cyclical. Everything moves in patterns of birth, death, and rebirth. Spiritually, this is the wheel of life, the resurrection principle, the spiral ascent. Science shows it in circadian rhythms, seasonal cycles, cellular turnover. The psyche experiences time as spiral. The same lessons return, but from new elevations. This law invites you to stop fearing endings and honor them as part of creation's rhythm. Winter is not failure, it is preparation. If you keep running from endings, you never harvest the wisdom of completion. Growth is not a straight climb, but a spiral staircase. Each turn gives you a higher vantage point. This one helped me really understand that it wasn't 2 steps forward and 1 step back. It was like I was learning and then I needed to integrate it. And then when I got to experience it again, what seemed like the same thing was getting to be experienced from a different elevation. I could see it from a new point of view, a new perception that was invited in. Law 8 is unity of spirit and matter. There is no sacred, profane split. Everything is God in drag. Spirituality, mystics from Rumi to Hildegard, declared all phenomena as expressions of source. Science calls it energy. Matter is condensed vibration. The human error is thinking that the body is less holy than prayer, or money is less spiritual than meditation. The law dissolves duality. Spirit and matter are one dance. Your job is not to escape the world, but to remember its divinity. When you bless the body, the bank account, the relationship as equally sacred, you integrate. Unity consciousness is not abstract. It's lived when you honor every domain as spirit in form. Law 9, coherence. Intent plus emotion equals manifestation. Creation requires coherence. Intention without feeling is inert. Emotion without direction is chaos. Spiritually, this is the marriage of head and heart, thought and will. Science confirms heart-brain coherence produces measurable shifts in physiology and outcomes. Manifestation happens when mind, heart, and action align into one clear signal. Most people scatter. They think one thing, feel another, and act in contradiction. That incoherence breeds frustration. This law demands integration. Harmonize thought, emotion, and embodied action into the unified field. When you become congruent, creation accelerates. So this is the law that links very closely with that law of magnetic resonance. And so when we understand how coherence works and the importance of it, that is when we start to manifest or create a life at a different level. When we are creating it from alignment, from attunement, versus from chaos. Law 10, service amplifies creation. Creation magnifies when it serves more than the self. This law is going to help when we think of Law 8 of unity of spirit and matter. So for many of us, myself included, I have always really struggled with this concept of our body or money and that other things are supposed to be more spiritual. And the truth is if we can understand that everything is spirit, then it helps us bring things into order. We don't pray to just money or focus on one, but it's that everything is God. Everything is light. Everything is divine. And this is the law that helps us with selfishness or being self-willed. So creation magnifies when it serves more than the self. Spiritually, this is Dharma, the Bodhisattva vow, Christ consciousness. Science shows us that altruism generates resilience, health, and even longevity. When you create only for yourself, the field is small. When you create for the collective, the field multiplies. But service is not martyrdom. True service includes yourself as part of the we. This law reminds you that the greatest creations are those that ripple outward, uplifting others. You are most powerful when your personal vision serves the awakening of all beings. Now, law 11, the law of paradox. Life is full of reversals. Spiritually, mystics have always said that the divine teaches through opposites. Loss becomes gain. Suffering precedes breakthrough. Weakness becomes strength. Science agrees in its own way. Chaos theory shows disorder can lead to higher order. Paradox is the language of transformation. What looks small may be vast. What looks like failure may be foundation. The ego hates paradox because it wants certainty. The soul thrives on paradox because it knows wholeness. This law invites you to stop resisting contradiction and start looking for the hidden gift inside reversal. Paradox is not punishment, it is the portal. Now, law 12. Grace and guidance are cofactors. You are not creating alone. Spiritually, grace is the invisible hand of the divine, the higher self, archetypes, angels, ancestors walking with you. Scientifically, synchronicity can be seen as pattern recognition and probability aligning, but that doesn't make it any less miraculous. Coincidence is co-instance. So break down the word coincidence, a co-created instant. Your field aligning with the higher order. Guidance comes when you ask, when you listen, and when you act on what you hear. Grace arrives in the cracks between your effort, carrying you where you couldn't push yourself. This law teaches you to stop pretending you are the sole architect of your life. You are the co-creator in cosmic partnership. Human gift and divine grace braided together. Remember, we are weaving a fabric, and all of us have these threads of energy. And we use these threads of energy to weave and create what people will call the veil or the world around us. The law of grace and guidance reminds us that we are not creating this fabric on our own, but that we are doing it not only together with each other, but each of us being divine, we are creating this fabric with Source. Pull one thread and the whole picture changes. On the actions of this, it's such a beautiful law because many of us are asking for guidance. We're asking for clarity. And my own mentor would call them the downloads. We're talking about when we get that guidance, the importance of us actually acting on it and not just asking for something and then waiting and not doing anything at all. So here we understand that presence is power because the now is the only place your energy actually exists. Your soul is an entity only of present time. So let's go into the wisdom of the cycles. Let's get practical because burnout isn't just about stress. It's about ignoring the cycles of energy. Your body has rhythms, 90-minute cycles of focus and rest. Ignore them and you fry your brain. Nature has seasons. There's growth, harvest, death, rest. Ignore them and you burn out, trying to live in endless harvest. Your emotions have cycles. You can't positive think away grief and anger. They move in spirals, and you have to ride the waves. An emotion has a lifespan of about 90 seconds. It rises, is experienced, and then meant to be released. If we ruminate on the emotion, adding a story, it drains our energy and we burn out. The law teaches us when you resist the cycles, you resist life. When you align with them, you find flow. Burnout is the cost of living like a machine instead of a human in rhythm with life. Now, this is a perfect time to take a super quick break and get a word from our sponsor. This episode is brought to you by me. If you're tired of running on empty, it's time to stop patching burnout with more hustle and start living in alignment. I have 2 coaching programs, Aligned Living, daily practices for presence and rhythm so your energy flows instead of fights, and Soul Alchemy, where we unravel the control patterns and teach your nervous system to trust again. And if you're ready for immediate clarity, my Aligned Oracle Guidance 3-pack will give you the direction and resonance you have been craving. 3 sessions to focus on an area of your life that needs alignment. Links are in the show notes. Book your session, stop managing burnout, and start transforming it. Welcome back to Sovereignty Rising. Today, we are talking about our ability to heal overwhelm, anxiety, and burnout. This was me. I continue to be a recovering control freak and type A personality. 9 years ago, many were expecting me to burn out at any moment. I was trying to control everything in my life, not just work. And although I had adopted this behavior as, well, a trauma response in an effort to create safety and security, it was the very thing that was causing havoc in my life. For over a decade, I had been searching for answers to help me gain my deepest desires for peace and for fulfillment. I have searched the mystical and the science to help me understand and then embody life's wisdom, what I call field and form, the 12 laws of co-creation. Today, we're focusing on the laws of cycles and spirals and seasons. So let's do an embodiment practice that I call restoring rhythm. Close your eyes, if it's safe to do so. Place your hands on your heart. And let's begin by shifting into a cortisol detox breath. We're going to inhale for a 4 count, hold for 4, and then exhale through the mouth with a gentle sigh for 6. So take an inhale for 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold 2, 3, 4. Exhale 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Again. Inhale 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold 2, 3, 4. Exhale 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And just notice how your system begins to slow. And now ask yourself, what season am I in right now? Am I in a season of growth, harvest, letting go, or rest? And where am I pretending to be in summer when my soul is asking for winter? What would honoring my actual season look like? And anchored in this mantra, I honor my rhythm. I am not a machine. I am a living cycle. Now, here's how the laws weave this together. Presence equals power. Overwhelm dissolves when you return to now. Alignment over control. Burnout heals when you stop gripping and start trusting. Cycles and seasons. Anxiety eases when you live in rhythm instead of resisting it. This is the truth. You don't heal burnout by escaping your life. You heal it by changing the way you live it. Anxiety isn't your enemy. It's your signal. Burnout isn't failure. It's a demand to realign. Your mantra for this week: I honor the cycles. I release control. I live from presence. And your reflection? Where in my life am I forcing endless summer? And what would shift if I allowed myself to honor the season I'm truly in? Because sovereignty isn't about managing your overwhelm. It's about remembering you were never meant to live as a machine. You were meant to live as rhythm, as breath, as spiral. Thank you so much for hanging with me today. And I'm going to ask you to do me a solid. And that is to follow this podcast, to share it with a friend, maybe share it on social media, and help me create a movement where we take these 12 laws, the practical and the spiritual, and create a movement to end suffering for real, in real life, in real time. I am so honored to be here with you, and I can't wait for our next episode. You are not broken. You are not too much. You're remembering who you've always been. And this journey is just getting started. If today's episode lit something in you, hit follow so you don't miss what's coming. And if you're feeling it, leave a review. It helps with more soul-led women find this space. Want to go deeper? Come find me on YouTube, Facebook, our private Facebook community, The Awakening Circle, Instagram, TikTok, or at our website, practicalspiritualismco.com, for all the ways we can rise together. Not to worry, all those links are in our show notes. Until next time, stay sovereign, stay bold, and keep that fire lit.